Sports, there is a growing concern on Capitol Hill that parents who buy some of those games may not realize just how much violence they're getting.
Now let's discuss whether there is any link between violence on the screen and real violence.
New alert from the World Health Organization about video game addiction. The organization is now designating gaming disorder as a mental health condition.
Understand that these are not harmless toys, that they can indeed cause great emotional and other damage to a child.
Video games being negatively linked to mental health have been a swirling topic for the last few decades, from being a scapegoat of violent tendencies in the youth to even being considered an official disorder by the World Health Organization. Most mainstream outlets have pushed the narrative that those who are struggling with mental health can only really make it worse by using the outlet of gaming. And there isn't really conventional pushback, even when the majority of our next generation and online communities would disagree to this sentiment. I want to change that with these communities' voices. Have some of them speak out past the Tumblr posts and Reddit forums. I'm hoping by taking a small group of interviewees that can change the narrative just a little.
I've been playing video games since I was late elementary school, early middle school.
Played video games since as far back as I can remember.
We started playing video games when the DSi came out.
I've been playing video games since about, I want to say, age 7 or 8.
I mean, I've been playing games since I was 2.
I've been playing video games since I was 4, so I'm gonna say about 17, 18 years at this point.
I have depression and anxiety.
I have miscellaneous sensory issues and miscellaneous anxiety issues.
I have depression and anxiety, and I also have ADD.
I am manic depressive, bipolar.
I mean, I have generalized anxiety alongside being somewhere on the autism spectrum, but high functioning as far as I'm aware.
I have double depression. I'm also autistic. I have ADHD and OCD. And yeah. I absolutely think that they have, just because it's, depending on the games, you don't really have to think. It's just a way to kind of relax and just do something else for a little while. If I'm having a bad day, I'm not going to play something hard and challenging. I'm just going to do something simple and easy, like one of those clicking games or whatever, and it just gives me something to focus on, something I can succeed at, which can really help.
Yes, video games have helped me because when I am stuck in a mood in my head, I use video games to distract me. I'll put in Dragon Age. I'll run through the dungeons, give me something mindless to do. I can take frustrations and anger out, even if it's irrational, on pixels on a screen versus hurting someone else or myself.
Having something to focus on every now and then. I don't like being alone with my thoughts. They can get kind of chaotic.
Having sensory stuff that I really like is this is amazing. And for some reason it's when a video game is hey, here's something I want you to do, and I finally complete it, it's oh my god, this is amazing. So yes.
It's the ability to transport you into another world where, your real life problems don't exist, and the problems that do exist are very clear cut, good guys, bad guys, rather than, inner demons or whatever.
It kind of helped me to, like, you know, get over, first of all, that specific trauma, but also other traumas. And, like, I'm not as easily hurt by things like that. And I think, you know, being able to work on that really helped me move forward with my mental illness.
I believe if done properly, it is a viable way to help people with mental problems.
Oh, hell yes. Yeah. Well, if it gives someone a set of goals to reach or something to focus on like me, then it can really be helpful. Especially if you don't have much direction in your life, you need something to focus on.
They can have an impact on people who are listening to that message. So, you know, if a game has something like that with a character that they relate to going through something similar to them, and they can see, you know, even play a way out of it, it can give them the kind of strength to, you know, help themselves out of a situation.
I think video games and other, like, media they can interact with for, like, short periods of time without losing anything can, like, really help with that reward system and just, like, getting something you can just access into a short period of time.
It's just escaping for a little while, and I think that's a completely valid way to deal with anxieties, and especially with, you know, different mental health disorders. I think games with, you know, more action in them can work for people who, you know, have more aggression that they need to get at in a safe way. I think it's as valid as any other, you know, method of dealing with the mental health issues and, you know, general anxieties.
People definitely can use video games for escapism. People also can use it for other things. You know, it's one of those things that you have to look at why the person is doing it, and sometimes, you know, only they're going to be able to tell you if they are trying to escape and if they're not. I know I've used it for escapism in the past. I've used it also for just at one point I had so little confidence, so I got The Sims, and that's how I worked up the courage to ask a girl out and a guy out. I kept playing Sims and going through different scenarios until I was like, oh, this might work. I'm going to try it. But yeah, to bring it back to the actual question, I really do think that video games can be very helpful.